You are now tuned into Flippin' the Birds, a Philly Sports Network podcast.
What's going on, Eagles fans? Welcome all to episode 127 of Flippin' the Birds. I'm Brian Cameron. He's Morgan Burkett, and the gentleman below us needs no introduction, but I'm gonna do it anyways because it's been about like 7 years, 2 days, and one minute maybe. Liam Jenkins has joined Flippin' the Birds for the first time in God knows how long.
It's been a while. It's just been emotional, mate, if I'm honest. I've accidentally invited to like half English time zone, and then the acquisition happened. It's just been a chaotic 6 months or so. But I'm back to Gate Crash on the busiest week of all, and ahead of what promises to be an even more chaotic run of live streams and stuff. So should be a very fun week to talk shop with you boys.
Oh, I'm very excited, and I'm very excited to see this handsome fellow above you as well. From it's definitely not down under, but above the United States over there in Canada.
yeah, not Australia.
Yeah, definitely not down under.
Very similar, but yeah, it's good to see you too, man. Glad to have you back. It's been a while. Good to be back in general as a relatively full squad. I know Chris isn't here, so in perfect timing, man. As Liam said, it's gonna be a busy week, so nice to have everyone back and finally have a full conversation about the draft. It'll be a good time.
That's got to be said, like, really quickly just before we jump into draft stuff. So I know this show is just going to go all in straight away because you all got so much to talk about. But pitching to my girlfriend, so it was our 1 year anniversary today, with just like a little, little wholesome night. And I was like, something's come up. Like, I've got to hop on this podcast at, like 2 a.m. And her first response was, "Is Morgan on it?" And I was like,
"Oh yeah."
Yeah, Morgan's on it.
Damn.
Yeah, that's great. So Morgan does have a reputation of just, being his little heartthrob. So our resident, GQ cover boy, we've got to make the most of it.
Well,
see, that's why you got to get yourself a Spanish woman. The Spanish women don't really like, Morgan's kind of guys.
Yeah.
But shout out to Doug. My daughter's doing very well, and shout out to all you guys. A lot of you guys hit me up on the side on Twitter. Even though I didn't really speak much about it on Twitter, and you guys really looked me out, so I really appreciate everybody for doing their part. I guess you could say, it's a community at the end of the day. Liam, even Morgan, Chris, everybody really looked me out for the past 2 weeks. I spent the past 2 weeks in Philadelphia, and it was a very emotional roller coaster. But we got through it. We're here now. We're good. So one thing I can really take away from the trip is the city matches my daughter's energy right now. My daughter, she's hyped. She's excited, and you could feel that in the city. Like I'm driving through, through the link. I'm driving through, even though I'm not a Phillies fan, a Citizen Banks ballpark. Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Hey,
so I'm driving
Brian,
through all there.
Your mic's popping. You might have to go without the mic. Brian's on an iPad.
Yeah.
You gotta forgive him for.
Can you guys hear me now?
It's just popping. Unfortunately, I thought it was me. I thought it was But I think all the problems that you're blaming on me, I think it's actually your iPad.
How about now?
Yeah, still popping.
All right. It is what it is. I'm sorry, guys.
Not the Jack Harlow kind either. Just a bit wobbly.
But you can feel the electricity in the city right now. I mean, a lot of people are excited. It is draft week. It is that time where we get to finally see what happens to next year's team and what's going to look like. We know the Eagles are now going quarterback in the first round, which a lot of people are excited about, even though on my Twitter, it's been the opposite lately about Jalen Hurts came and throw to a trash can. But yeah, I mean, here we are. And Liam, I don't know if you want to go over what's going to actually happen with PSN this week before we, dive deep into the mock drafts.
Yeah, so I'm sure a lot of you guys on the stream have been more than familiar with our draft streams in the past. It's produced many iconic moments. That the John Hightower pick will go down as one of the best moments in PSN history, I think. We had the Kenny Gainwell one last year, which was almost as euphoric, but not quite. And, John Hightower lives on in our hearts. But yeah, we're doing the same thing again. So we're going to go all out, 3 days worth of live stream, or 3 nights worth, I should say, of live streaming. So as a result, we're going from like 8 p.m. through the night on Thursday. Then I think it's like 5 p.m. through the night on Friday. And I think it's like midday on Saturday all through. So by the end of it, we're all going to be sleep deprived, like caffeine up on Red Bull, talking about our late round draft crashes and that sort of thing. So I think if you're down, if you like PSN, if you like our Eagles team, great spot to be in. We're going to try and have some giveaways in, and the really fun thing, I don't know how much we can say just yet, but if this all goes well and lovely and everyone loves it, then we're going to try and make it a wholesome event for the preseason watch-alongs that we also do, where there might be a slight invasion from the British to America, where LJ comes and says hello and gives you all big cuddles. So that's the aim where we're going for. But yeah, lots of chaos over the next week with live streams. I'm going to have a Q&A up tomorrow. So if you do have any questions you want to ask me that don't get answered tonight, there is a tweet on my profile where you can just reply any draft-related questions. I'll get that up tomorrow. That leads us into Thursday. And we let the fun begin, and we let Howie Roseman take the wheel.
Yeah, always a good time. I know that was one of my first, kind of aha moments with PSN, is that first one we did. Just so much fun seeing everybody in the chat. We might always agree on picks, but we do our best to make the light of every pick, and I think that's what's different. Is it's just a good energy, positive energy. We're not crapping on any picks or anything like that. So it's just a lot of fun talking a whole bunch of football. So and we interact with the fans. So anyone that's out there, come show up, come show some love, and I'm sure you'll end up on the stream somehow. But yeah, it's always a good time. And like Liam said, we'd love to do it more often. So I'm looking forward to it. But I think Brian's kind of dealing with his iPad, but I can kick it off, and I'm interested. I watched the video released on PSN YouTube, and yes, Liam is back on YouTube for those of you that have been waiting, long waited. And you talked about kind of how you see this draft shaking down, and we got into it a bit before the stream started too, but I think we're on the same boat where this might be less of an exciting draft than a lot of people think it is. And so I was wondering if you just want to touch on that a bit, and then talk about kind of how you see the first couple of rounds, especially going for Howie.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to be back on YouTube first and foremost. It's just been a nightmare. Like, I was literally rolling. I was ready to do some like Zach Pascal film rooms and some Hassan Reddick stuff, and then caught COVID, and then had to move into a place with no Wi-Fi. So it's just been a bit of a nightmare this month, really. But yeah, I think in that self-isolation period, staring at four walls and thinking of nothing but the NFL draft, I kind of just had this epiphany that it is, I think, going to be a bit of an anti-climax. Well, I think we're so conditioned to seeing how we make these aggressive moves and stuff. I think the bulk of that has been done in that New Orleans Saints trade. And if you look at, I was saying to Morgan before the show that I think last year's class was the first one that had a real identity from start to finish, in the way that you had multiple, I think all of them were team captains. Multiple had links to the Eagles or links to the city. One was related to Fletcher Cox, as we know, with Milton Williams. Kenny Gainwell as well. Like, there were so many guys that were just like sprinkled around and somehow felt like Philly guys, and also shot off the charts athletically. Like, all of them had like insane verticals. So, basically Davion Taylor's, but like the next evolution. I think you've seen that grow. Like, if you go back to that draft with Davion Taylor, and everyone's like, why are they drafting this guy? Like, he's barely played football, barely saw the field, super athletic. And now you're like 2-3 years in. You can say the same for Josh Sweat, I think, as well. Again, like, monstrous athlete, underutilized at FSU, injury concerns. Landon Dickerson, another one, injury concerns, incredible athlete. And you're seeing this like core new way of evaluating players. Now maybe it's that Joe Douglas has gone and he's taken bits and bobs from this Ozzie Newsome school of scouting, like whatever it may be. I think Howie's just got this like real mold now of what it was. And I remember writing an article a few years ago on what this like prototypical Howie free agent was. And it was like 28 years old, does this, does that, has this. And it would, all of them would tick the same box. And like 2017 was like a prime example. You're now seeing what I think is the exact same thing, but with the draft. So when you come to it, he's stockpiling picks. He wants like more collateral for next year to future-proof himself if Jalen Hurts doesn't pan out or what have you. But more importantly, this team isn't close to competing directly. It's not going to be championship or bust. It's not all in on tomorrow. So let players develop. And when you've got that mentality, you've got a head coach that's a wide receiver whisperer, a defensive coordinator that's renowned for his defensive back prowess. Like, get them some young developmental talent. We saw it with the trades last year with guys like Tay Gowan, who I absolutely love. So I'm selfishly hoping for like a little bit of time for him to develop into a CB2. But I could just see this draft being heavy in the trenches first rounds, like maybe a defensive end, a defensive, like interior defensive lineman, maybe a move up, like if Lindstrom's sort of in that range, like they can go up or secure one of those offensive line guys. From there, just project athletes all the way down. And it wouldn't shock me in the slightest if every other pick from like round 4 onwards is just, who is that? The guy from here? Isn't that like he made that one play? Like, is that like Calvin Austin would be the perfect example of it? Just doesn't fit any mold, but he's just crazy athletic. Like that sort of pick, I think is going to be the name of the show. I hope I'm wrong, low key, because I do like, seeing those bigger name players come through. And you look at a college like Georgia and how many appealing players they've got this year. But I can just see this being like 3 big names in the first couple rounds, like no drama with trades, and then just like all of them being freak athletes who we don't really know yet, but we probably will in the next few years. So I know that's probably like an extended 10-minute summary, but hopefully that clears up my view on this. But yeah, I'll turn it over to you guys and what you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, before Brian, our resident draft expert, clearly gets his chance. Yeah, I think one thing that you're talking about also highlights really what the team wants to do and what the coaches want to do. This coaching staff, demanding in terms of the IQ of their players, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, and that's something that you're talking about. Is they're looking at a lot of leaders, they're looking at a lot of intelligent football players. And then they're also looking for, I think, an extension of that is instinctual players, right? And that lends itself so well to high athleticism and quick twitch and movement abilities. And so I think one is I think Howie's kind of changed his tone a bit and changed what he's looking at. But I think 2, he's finally kind of shifting his views and understanding what his coaching staff needs. Now there was some of that again with Jim Schwartz. You always had those first step defensive ends where they had a lightning first step, and then who cares what they could do afterwards because they're just going downfield out of the wide 9, right? But I think one thing is how he took that time to kind of consider what this new coaching staff needs. And so I think one thing we might see in addition to intelligent, quick, athletic players is some versatility. And I think that you're going to see a lot of players who might not really make sense. Logan Hall comes to mind. Logan Hall is probably an outside 3-4 defensive end. That's probably what he should be doing. That's how he fits. He's a bigger guy. He's 280 pounds. You don't see many defensive ends, but at that size playing in a 4-3. But I think that's the kind of player where they're going to find a way to use him. He can do a lot of things. I think Jonathan Gannon wants to be very multiple in his approaches. And then on offense side of the ball, I think you're going to see the same things. They have essentially positionless receivers. So a player like maybe a Christian Watson, who's fantastic, who can do a lot. He has added value because he can play all over the place. When you're looking at maybe a Treylon Burks, for example, not so much. He can't really do everything for you. He's more of a gadget guy. You need to give him the ball early. Is he going to run the routes that we hope he is? So I think there's going to be some of that too, where he's going to pick players where they can play a lot of the roles on this offense. So when you talk, I know Brian's a big fan of Chris Olave. Okay, Chris Olave is fantastic, but he does have problems beating press on the outside. So that's a position now either he has to learn or you can't put him in there right away. And I'm not dissing or anything like that because of the mock draft loss. But this is what I'm talking about is I think you're going to see a lot of players. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. But all I'm saying is I think you're going to see a lot of players that either put themselves on the table or take themselves off because of the versatility they bring and the amount of positions they can play. So again, in addition to what Liam's talking about, I do think there's going to be a couple of players where we draft where we're kind of scratching our head thinking about how they're going to fit, and I think that's a good problem to have. Is you get talented athletes and you find roles for them.
I mean, Hassan Reddick's probably the best example, right? Like even if you go to free agency, like perfect.
For sure. And then I mean, Kaiser White as well.
Great, that was a great pick though.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Everything you guys are saying, right? And maybe it's a little bit of football geek in me right now. But that's all exciting to me. You're talking about getting a guy who, getting players who are instinctive, getting players who are athletic, getting players who may not have a lot of, wear and tear on them, which is great. It's phenomenal for me. Damn, why is my microphone still popping? It's just something different. Anyways, again, it's very exciting to me. Another thing that's very exciting to me is that the fact that I blew Morgan out the water with my mock draft, which all of you guys voted me opposed to Morgan. But a part of my mock draft was kind of taking that approach, was kind of like getting guys who don't have so much wear and tear, but also getting the guys who are actually, I gotta say this, are popping off the paper, are popping like my microphone right now. Like getting a Garrett Wilson in the first round, getting a Jamison Williams in the first round, getting a Chris Olave in the first round. Like those three guys to me, like, are very well-groomed receivers getting into that college level, getting into the pro level now. Olave is great with his footwork. He's great off the line of scrimmage. He's a great route runner. Garrett Wilson is Calvin Ridley 2.0. Jamison Williams, like, the kid is big, but the kid has like speed, and it gives me that, I'm gonna say this, the feeling that the Eagles have something more brewing here. Now, say for example, the Eagles go with Jamison Williams in the first round. Say Jalen Hurts is not the guy this year. You have 2 first-round picks next year. You have Bryce Young right there in the wings waiting to repair with Devontae Smith and Jamison Williams. Like, I feel like this, again, kind of piggybacking what Liam said, this is building more as the years go by. This is not going to be the championship caliber team. This is not going to be the team that surprises anybody in the next couple of years. It's not going to happen. This team is far from polished. The first season, making it to the playoffs and, going through the wild card and like that, it was, it wasn't a fluke, but it was lightning in the bottle because the second half of their schedule was so easy. But I'm excited about this draft. I don't know, guys. Like, the prospects in this draft, like, you have like Georgia. Everybody's thinking about N'Kobe Dean. Everybody's thinking about Walker. But you have a guy like Channing Tindall, who didn't get much playing time, but the kid is athletic as hell. He's good in pass coverage. He can actually rush the passer as well. You have Cole Strange, who they moved to center during Senior Bowl, and it could be the heir to Jason Kelsey's throne. Like, there's so much potential in the later rounds, and not as much as there's fireworks in the first round and second round, but the later rounds, there's so much freaking potential. Even the kid that you like, I can never say his last name, Eric.
Ezekielma?
Yes. That kid.
I always thought it was like Exner or something, like Eric Exner, and I was like, that's definitely not right.
Yeah, even if it was, he probably switched it. He'd switch that name.
Yeah.
Just call me Easy. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's exciting to me. It's exciting like how deep this draft actually is. They have the cornerback at Georgia as well, Darian Kendrick, who, like, the Eagles have been shopping for a kick returner. Right there, you got a cornerback and a kick returner at the same time. Like, there's so much potential if this team can develop the players the right way. And we saw last year that this team is in position to develop the right players. Like Liam said, you have the wide receiver whisperer in Nick Sirianni. You got the cornerback guru in Jonathan Gannon. Like, there's so much that they can build on, and to me, I'm excited. I'm so excited. I'm ready to shape up my beard, shave my head, get prepared for Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, whatever case may be. No, Morgan, we're not going to do all that. You got to gel that, or at least like shave the little top part.
Like that.
Morgan just rolls out of bed like, okay, right, time to go.
Yeah.
I woke up like
time
this.
for the job.
I will say
man,
that. Just really quick to piggyback off Brian's point, I had like another little sort of epiphany. Like, how different do you think this offseason would have been if the Eagles didn't get absolutely steamrolled in the playoffs? Like, let's say the Eagles either put up an admirable fight or able to actually get past the Bucks, and let's maybe even push it to a championship game or like a free capture lightning in a bottle. Like, because when that happens, I think the main perception from an owner is like, oh, well, the team's good enough to do that, like, based on how plugged in they are, I suppose. So, like, if you've got a receiver like Devontae Smith, you can put up that much yardage. Like, if Jalen Reagor caught fire in the playoffs, for instance, if Jalen Hurts was suddenly that much better, like, how much does this offseason then change to, does Howie flick that switch to go, do we win now? Do we go all in? I think the fact that they got thumped was probably the best thing to happen, because it was like, we got to the dance and we hit a real championship team, and we got hit with a massive wake-up call of, we're not there yet. We're not going to be there for a while. Let's build this properly. Whereas if they just like teetered and they'd like gone with it into the fourth quarter on the final drive, it would have been, oh, we lost on the final drive because this corner was out of spot. We need that position, and it will just cause you to kind of overcompensate for those weaknesses. As bad as it sounds, like, looking back at that Bucks game, like, very happy it panned out the way it did, because it just may have forced Howie to just be a little bit more patient in the way he views things. And this could be, obviously, it's just a hypothetical, but if that was me, I mean, I can think of the adversities PSN has had and things. And I mean, you guys can attest because you've both been here since forever now. With the bumps we've had in the road, and you get to something like where we are now, where it's so magically different, and you're like, I'm really happy that happened when it did, because it taught me X, Y, and Z. I can see that being the same sort of case here with Howie and that playoff loss.
That's actually a pretty good theory as well, because you look at it as like they faced the Bucks early on in the season and they lost.
Yeah,
they faced all these good teams early in the season, they lost. Then they started teeing off on these bad teams, and then when you got to the playoffs, they faced a really good team. And when they faced that really good team, they got blown the hell out the water. So to actually for them to actually get that wake up call, it's like, yeah, you guys thought you were hot, but no, you're really not. Like, you guys beat up on bad teams. You won the games you were supposed to. And it's a huge testament as to where they are in this rebuild or this retooling that Jeffrey Lurie like to call it. Now we actually get to see what Howie Roseman is actually capable of in this era. It's the Howie Roseman show. Next year around, he's just here along for the ride. Jeffrey Lurie gave him the keys to the car, and he's just he's driving this Rolls Royce down the block, right around the link, just going in donuts, hoping that he can land something. So it's exciting to see this stuff. Like, we're seeing the growth of a new generation of Eagles football, whether that's Jalen Hurts, whether that's a quarterback for next year, or whether that's a veteran quarterback that surprisingly gets traded next offseason, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think those are both good points. I think too that one thing that maybe we're not talking about is this is really it'll be an indictment of Howie Roseman if this draft doesn't go well, right? And I know we've talked about forever how he's untouchable, and and it's probably true, but I think last year you saw what happens when you don't draft horribly. Obviously, Devontae Smith is a rock star. That was a great pick, and he did some maneuvering there to really get some value out of that as well. And then Landon Dickerson turned out, Milton Williams. He had a really good draft last year. But something that remains to be seen is we brought in a coaching staff whose essentially core principle was they were going to come in here and develop players, right? And so I think that if we see the same progression with the coaching staff, and then we have I just don't know how you can fail this draft as long as you don't draft terribly, because I think in-house we have a really good coaching staff at developing players. So I think that the theme for this draft, and it goes into what you're talking about, is building for the future. And I think a lot of people have talked about, okay, well, when are they going to draft a corner, or when are they going to draft a wide receiver, or when are they going to draft a linebacker or safety? And I think the actual question should be, or the focus should be, is you just have to hit on your picks. It doesn't matter what position. It really doesn't. There's so few positions on this team that are solidified for the next 3 or 4 years outside of, maybe left tackle, right? So you're probably not drafting a left tackle in the early rounds, but the rest, I think maybe tight end too. Okay. There's one or two, but I think everywhere else you could go. And if a person falls, if a Kyle Hamilton falls, or a Jordan Davis falls, or I think even like a Devontae Wyatt, if he ends up at pick 18, that would be a fall. He's a really talented player. I think he's getting overlooked just by the fact that Jordan Davis is his line mate, and and he's more flashy and he's more exciting, but he's a really good player. So I think all the Eagles have to focus on is extracting value at their position, and that will, one, build for the future, but also you have another really weak schedule. You have a division that I don't know. I don't think any of the teams in the division got better. I really don't. The Cowboys lost Amari Cooper. Who knows what's going on in Washington and New York? New York might put it together. Washington's defense may not be terrible, but you have a really good chance at winning the division, or getting a wild card spot. If the Cowboys do Cowboys things and suck, you might win the division, right? So I think that it's one thing to say, okay, let's build for the future, but I think you just have to get more talented. And then if you end up in the playoffs, you end up in the playoffs, and then your analysis of Jalen Hurts will follow in suit. But you don't it doesn't have to be, okay, this is a rebuild year, we're not going to win. I think there's a very real chance of winning. And when you talk about a rebuild year, you almost talk about like, okay, well, we have to build off a cornerback one, and you have to like have a staple of all these positions. And I don't think it is that way. This team just needs to get better and improve, and they'll probably end up in the playoffs again, or at least in a position to get a wild card spot.
I have a question. So, very, very hypothetical question. If Jalen Hurts was in this draft as one of the quarterbacks, is he top 10 or top 5?
Well, he's Malik Willis, so I mean, it's wherever Malik Willis goes. Because I mean, to me, they're the same quarterback. I think outside of the fact that Willis
going off his last year in Oklahoma,
a lot further. But I mean, but overall, I mean, they're identical. I think it's still the same. Like,
okay,
he wouldn't be the best quarterback in this class, and I think that to me speaks quite a lot. But at the same time, to piggyback off Morgan's statement, if we're being totally honest with ourselves, like, let's say, all right, 3 years' time, because 3 years is a nice, I think, range to go, because it includes last year's draft class as well. How many Eagles from this current team are still going to be around? And outside of Mailata, outside of Dickerson, I'd like to say Herbig at this point on the offensive line. Hurts, we don't know. Devontae Smith, Goddard maybe would be by then. I'm still not fully sold on Dallas Goddard. I haven't been for a year or two. Just from a consistency standpoint, I still want to see more. Like, now it's his full year as TE1. I hope we get there. I'm sure we will. Outside of that, defensive line, Fletcher's probably going to go. Hargrave's got 1 year left. BG's not going to be there anymore. Sweat, you'd like to think it's going to be the edge one. Then there's no one behind him at this point. Corner, Slay's going to go. Like, there is no one. And to coincide with that point as well, there is no better team for Jalen Hurts to be on. Because imagine if he was on a fringe team that's constantly cycling through QBs to try and take that edge, to try and get them over the hill. He's going to just be exploited, and there's no room for development, because if you're not at this level, the team won't grow, therefore you're down. And that's it. I think right now, Jalen Hurts is just in the best spot to take his time, develop, and gradually grow. The only concern I've got with Jalen Hurts, which is a very different conversation altogether, is just the only element I really saw of genuine growth from the start of the season to the end of it was ball security. And that came on leaps and bounds. And it was a night and day comparison to what we saw in year number 1. Outside of that, I don't know if I saw enough to be like, there was a huge step forward in this area. There was a huge leap forward there. Like, velocity was an issue. It was in his rookie year. Going through reads was an issue. It was in his rookie year. Like, a lot of the core things are still there, really, that need to be worked on. So, yeah, I mean, he's in a situation where the Eagles aren't expected to be competitive for 3 to 4 years. He's going to be able to build chemistry with those guys, which is the one thing not backing Carson Wentz. Wentz couldn't do, because there's a constant revolving door literally everywhere. Fair enough. You're giving him the opportunity. You're giving him a chance. Look, away from that rough expectant spotlight of championship or bust, like, grow into that role. Like, see if you can become the guy. Like, we've got all these first round picks to surround you with talent. They're going to elevate you. See what happens. That there's no need to go and overspend at the QB position, because a QB won't make the difference right now between here and a Super Bowl. If it's like the Eagles, let's say, got to the championship game and then Jalen Hurts did what he did against the Bucks, that's when you're like, right, all in on a quarterback. Like, you don't have to. Like, Hurts can be serviceable for a while. So just overall, to summarize the past, 28 minutes, the Eagles are just in a perfect spot. Very hard to mess it up. And I don't want that sound clip for when they do inevitably. But I really do think that they're primed just for a calm weekend where they can just take the pickings of the perfect type of players for what they want. The versatile, smart, athletic guys, which sounds so simple in premise. And yet so many front offices will mess it up because they get greedy and they overshoot. It's a nice spot. Like, as much as we as reporters and fans like to get excited and amped and this frenzy of what they're going to do, there should also be this element now of, it'll be all right. We just have 2021 just gradually improving. Mm-hmm. When was the last time the Eagles were just stable and we could just breathe and there wasn't all or nothing on a draft or all or nothing on a free agent or a quarterback? There is room to breathe for the first time, maybe since mid Andy Reid era, because Chip Kelly, that was instant expectation. Doug Peterson, the second cast, I would say that Washington game 2016, where I know it was the Ravens game, I beg your pardon, where they lost it with the overtime, where they went for 2 and it failed.
I think it was in the fourth quarter last fourth quarter last
Fourth
drive.
quarter, sorry. That game, I think, where I was like, spot that there's something there. Since then, I think it's just all been Super Bowl this, protect the Super Bowl window, bring it back at all costs. It's gone now. Oh my God, quick. Is Jalen Hurts going to get us back there? No. We're just breathing again, and they're just vibing. And that's the nicest thing right now, I think.
Well, really quick, Dan Cross says, thank you again for your coverage. 2020 draft got me through terrible times.
I love stuff like that, man. Thank you, Dan. Genuinely, just thanks to everyone watching this, and to Morgan and Brian. Like, without commandeering the podcast or the show here, like it has been a wild year and a half, and like there's been more that has gone on than you guys would believe. So to go from where we were, like it's the amount of stuff that happened in 2020 through 2021 to where we are now is unreal. And the one thing that's never changed is your guys' support. Like whether I'm doing 8 videos a day or disappearing for 6 months or whatever, like you always still have our backs and you always still support Brian and Morgan and what we do. And it's cliche, but without you guys, there is no PSN, there is no Flipping the Birds, there's no LJ, there's no Chaotic Streams. And you've given us the opportunity to not only do what we love and have a voice, but to share it with people that also have that and have a respect there. And so many outlets miss it. I'll save this for the draft. We've got 6 hours of empty air to fill. But just know that we love you too, and you've done more for us than you'll ever know, Dan. So I'm glad that we could help you out.
So we're at the half-hour mark of the show, and Morgan, if you want to gear up Draft Network, we're going to start doing mock drafts. But before we do that, I think we got to take a moment because LJ did explain a lot without saying a lot. It's weird because not a lot of people know the grind that Liam literally puts on in the background. I've known this kid for 3 years, and it's been nothing but just work nonstop. I've yelled at him multiple times for not having a personal life, for not just taking time off. I literally yelled at him through text or not taking time off. So it's truly just a testament of everything you've accomplished, man. At the end of the day, like it's a standing ovation for everything you've done. So
I appreciate it, man. I mean, there should be. I don't know how much is known yet. There should be something very soppy that I found out tonight. Hopefully coming later this week for one of our Eagles team members. So, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but it's very wholesome. It's very sweet, and it's another one of those like hit you moments where you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. We as a team did that. So yeah, I'm sure we'll get to share that all with you in the draft. But yeah, like I mean, for anyone that hasn't been paying attention or been away, like it's just been a chaotic year, and to go through, I think, so much just running a business in a couple of years, like as a full-time job, to then going like Shark Tank level negotiations of how to value and sell business. You know what I mean? Like there was so much to it, but now we're in a spot where like our Eagles guys, our league guys get guaranteed wages each month, which for me is huge. And it's just even if it's like a chunk towards a rent or something, like it's something where like, hey, we as a team have gone from something that was a tiny little outlet in my bedroom to something now where we're paying people, and there are roles there, and there are chances for full-time roles. And there's, again, I don't want to spoil too much later on, but there will be events in Philadelphia with PSN branding and Liam popping out of a stage with fireworks behind him, hopefully. It's crazy. It's genuinely crazy. So yeah, I appreciate everyone that stuck by us, because it can suck. Like I've had it before when you follow a content creator and they disappear for a bit, and you almost feel betrayed because you're like, what the hell? Like I come to you, like you are my release, really. Like I come out of a long day's work. I want this like entertainment, and it sucks. And I'm sorry if anyone was a bit let down by that, because I'd hate to be that guy that took that away from you all. But it was something that had to be done, I think, last year. Otherwise, I just would have burnt out. I mean, there was literally a Zoom call where we had all like 15 of us on, and you're like, right, Liam, let's just slow down a bit now. Let's have an intervention. It was like it started out as a happy hour, ended as an intervention, and I was just like, yeah, you're probably right. Like I can't do this. And the second I stopped doing like a Twitch stream and a YouTube video and 3 articles a day, I was just like, I don't know how I did that for so long. But yeah, long story short, we're in the best place we ever have been because of your unwavering support. And you didn't fold when we needed you most, and that will forever be strong in our hearts. So hopefully Morgan's used that very long window to get Draft Network all sorted.
I had it.
Different,
I had it ready before the thing.
Oh, okay. All right, so just like we've done the past couple of weeks before we went on a little hiatus, we're gonna do a mock draft. This time we're gonna do 3 rounds, and you guys actually get to select the pick once again. Now it'll be, based on, votes and based on who actually has the most requests. But yeah, let's get it moving. I mean, it's the final draft before the draft.
All right.
Now, before you start, does anybody want to make a move for a trade before the draft starts?
Before the draft
I know
starts,
we're gonna get
I think we are.
I know we're gonna get offers, but I want to know if we want to offer anything.
the new number one guys, Trayvon Walker. Do you guys
wow.
believe the hype? I don't know.
I'm skeptical about it.
Did you feel like half of it is inflated because it's just Georgia and like the amount of players coming out and how good they were? Like if he played in, I don't know, let's say UTSA, for instance, like would he still be the consensus like number one guy?
I think it's the hype around that team, that defensive line,
Yeah.
and that
It's
defense
unreal.
in
Like,
general.
there's literally the entire defensive line is like first round worthy. It's crazy.
It's kind of like the new Alabama, pretty much.
I talked to Marcus about this last week actually, and it's kind of it's a blessing and a curse to play for a really good team because it hides a lot, but it exposes a lot as well. So I think that when you have a team that's so good, it elevates the entire team, but also it it hides a lot of technique problems or limited movement because you're just so good.
A lot
I
of
think
people
that's
get
one of the cases
overhyped.
with Trayvon Walker. Yeah, it's like Aaron Donald, for example, like smaller school guy, right? And I think that those are the guys who are like, oh, they're small school and they're that good still. Those are the guys that are like bona fide picks. I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
So when we get to
the
pick
draft.
6, let's start the draft. When we get to number 5, pause it. Davidson said, "Let's see who drafts and see if we can ship off Dillard and some picks to move up to 6."
I don't know if they have the capabilities of.
I'm curious to see who's gonna be at 6 and who's gonna be available.
4,
Sometimes draft network just does their own thing. All right, so
I mean that's pretty expected, right? I guess. I mean, outside of
I didn't go fast enough.
It's so weird.
Okay, we're at pick 8.
Yeah, I didn't go fast. You said, yeah, it is what it is. I missed that.
It's okay.
I
mean, it's not bad. I mean, like Liam was saying, it's kind of like what you expect. I feel like Jermaine Johnson went a little bit higher than expected.
I think that and Gardner, like I think that the corner situation is so fluid. I think everyone you ask has got a different consensus number one cornerback, which is like really interesting. I think as soon as one goes, just like wideouts last year, like as soon as Jalen Waddle went, and obviously there was the move for Devontae, I can see the same thing. I really can see the same thing here, where as soon as that first one goes, Stingley and the other boys are going to be there shortly after, for sure.
So
I'll say this much. Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I really love the Draft Network's analysis of players. I really do.
Oh, absolutely.
The predictive board, I don't know so much about. Anyway,
so do we want to make a move right now, or is it kind of just one of those things? Let's sit tight. I mean, you have a lot of good players still on the board. I mean, Derek Stingley, I would assume goes within the next 2 or 3 picks. What do you guys think?
I mean, I'd stick. I mean, I'm of that thing where it's like it's more teams are going to come to you. So I don't think there's any reason unless one of those top talents slips, like someone like. Yeah, a Gardner or someone, but yeah, with this sort of draft at the minute, you're looking. I would say like if Jordan Davis, if obviously Wyatt's down there like slipping out. If one of those guys gets like 12, 13, that's when I think you start ringing the bells. But for now, like I don't think there's need to be overly aggressive.
Okay, so let's let it rock, Morgan.
There's some interesting movement in the predictive board since we were doing it. On Andrew Booth has fallen. Boy, Mafi's in the top 30 now. Anyways,
I actually did my my mock draft based on Draft Network.
Yeah.
Yeah, the award-winning mock draft.
Like, really?
You won?
No. It's good. Okay. So,
Hamilton went to the.
Kyle Hamilton, Derek Stingley went off the board immediately. Also, I am clicking at the right times. It's just delayed, so I don't know how to fix that. But yeah, don't worry. P-Trade is not going to be until the second round.
Yeah, no, that's a while.
All right.
I think where he is on the board.
So we're still sticking. I say we like at this point you wait until 15, unless Brian can convince you to trade up for Garrett Wilson. But
No. Let's see what happens. Just give me a wide receiver
All
that can go off before we pick.
there he
There
goes.
it is.
Oh,
Jordan
it was
Davis,
Davis I was
Drake
waiting on. I
London.
was just thinking if he'd literally get past Minnesota or Houston.
All right,
Yeah, we're
there
getting
we go.
phone
That's what I'm
call.
waiting for.
It's
Right, I'm
okay,
like,
so
here now, so I can't.
we
So
got-
Morgan, just a heads up, if you actually hit counter offer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You hit it? Well, don't hit it now, but I'm saying like if you hit it anyway. If you hit hide on the top right, go
and you
ahead,
can
hit
see the
hide.
board.
It gives you the board, and you can still negotiate that
No, but then you
trade.
can't. Then you can't negotiate because the draft never.
Yeah,
has
just
this.
hit trade. I'm right there. It's right there.
Okay, so I can go
So
previous.
cool little tidbit.
Yeah, but then I can't see the offers that I had before. Which
No,
is
yeah, that's why I said not to hit it this yet. But it's okay
yeah,
because Jamison Williams is right there,
it's true.
and I don't see why you don't draft Jamison Williams.
See, I did a mock a few weeks back where I took Zion Johnson, purely because I was thinking like Isaac Seumalo. I'm pretty sure it's either Seumalo's contract year this year or next year. I want to say this year, but if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But I feel like we don't know what Dickerson is yet, and if you are, I would only take Johnson if Linderbaum goes or Lindstrom, whichever combo you fancy really.
Which Linderbaum, I feel like he kind of dropped in the board.
That's what I couldn't see him there, but like I think if you want to roll with Dickerson at centre, then get Johnson. If you have a line of Mailata, Johnson, Dickerson at centre, Herbig and Lane Johnson for a while, like that's as good as it's gonna get athletically, I think, from my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I did a mock wizard and not everyone hated it, which was an achievement in my eyes. So
okay,
it's an against the green pick.
If I saw this board and Devontae Wyatt and Jordan Davis are gone, and Wilson's gone, and your seeing receivers start to go, I'd trade back. There's going to be a team that wants Jameson.
Why would you do such a nonsense move? That's why you lost the mock draft. You see, you do things like that. That's what happens. Oh goodness,
yeah.
You don't pass
I see these picks and I see it 50. Like, are you getting like the 15th best player in the draft? And I don't think you are. So I trade back, and I still think you're going to have options. Like, man, you talked about the depth.
Jameson Williams is a top 10 pick, is he not? I mean, technically, he ranked as the number 1 wideout in the draft. That's been a consensus for the past week and a half. He's the guy.
I mean, he's fast. He does a lot of things well. But I think you're better off accumulating capital, and like what I said, with the depth in this draft, especially at wide receiver. I just anyways, I'm not gonna I know the
you smiling
Philly fans
that's why you lost the mock draft.
They've spoken and they want a receiver, and we're all about pleasing the fans, but I think if you're in this situation, then.
So Doug said something very, very intriguing. So ACL, is it weird? And correct me if I'm wrong on this matter, but an ACL tear nowadays, like in this past 2 or 3 years, is completely different from almost 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It's not what it used to be. It's not that dire of an injury. Like, these guys can bounce back pretty quick from these ACL tears.
Yeah, I mean, it's still serious. I think Achilles is the one you really worry about.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
All I'm saying is, if Sam Bradford was drafted 5 years later and was allowed to be quarterback under McVay, then the Rams would be a dynasty by now.
I don't disagree with that statement, honestly. I don't disagree with that statement. I don't know why I don't. Maybe it's the beer, but I do not disagree with that. It weirdly makes sense somewhere in the multiverse.
So it sounds like we're deciding between Jameson Williams and Zion Johnson. It doesn't sound like most people are in favor of trading back.
Yeah, I'm just being awkward. We'll go Jameson. It's fine. I won't cry about it much.
I feel like you could trade back at 18 and get something sufficient. Zach actually had for some reason, I really love his mock draft, but he traded back from 18 and with Detroit and got 32 and 34 in exchange of 18 and something else. Sorry, my neighbor's like.
What was it? It was one of the third or fourth, wasn't it? Like 150 or something, 154. It might have been.
Yeah. It was something like that. What do we have on the table now?
Okay, so I won't do the whole counter offer thing. So we got an offer 18th for 27th, 60th 133, and then we also ship our third round pick away. We have moving back to 25, we get a second and a fourth, and we give away a third. Or we get a whole lot of nothing from the Steelers to move back 2 picks. We
So it
get
doesn't sound like.
we get to move back in the third. So we're not going to take the Steelers option.
All right, so what if we make our own trade offer to towards either Kansas City or the Bengals? Kansas City needs to
Bust.
move up for a wideout. The Bengals need to move up for a cornerback or a safety. No, not safety. I'm sorry, cornerback.
Okay. So neither you don't want to take any of these, Liam, or any of these pick your fancy.
I
So you
kind
get-
of want to say Buffalo just because I feel like. Oh, I don't know. Is that number like 2022 picks? Oh, sorry. Yeah,
No,
2020.
20.
It'll be
No, they're all
23, but
2021.
obviously it's gone, backwards.
Yeah.
Because I would do that. I would say like.
Yeah, I don't hate this one because you get
I would
you
say
get the
Buffalo, really.
pick at the top of the second round, which is nice. Or not the top of the second round, the
No,
middle,
not
but you
the
can
top of
use
the
that to
second.
move up. No, it's not. But you can
What's
use
the
that.
third one
you
again?
can make your
move
own
up.
trade.
The third one is move back 2 spots, move back in the third, and then pick up 2
Nah,
seventh.
and you're
I
giving
don't
up a
understand how
third.
that makes any
I would
sense
say
at all.
the Buffalo trade's probably the best.
We can also offer a trade to Kansas City.
Or Cincinnati. Who's on the board? That's another option. We can also.
Well, we're locked in if I
So
look
it
at
sounds
the
like
board, we
Buffalo.
can't take these.
All right, so technically
Okay,
Buffalo's
we'll take
probably the
Buffalo.
best
I don't think
option.
we've taken Buffalo's yet. All right.
Wait, what? Wait, are you counting? Oh, you just accepted it? Oh, you're out of control.
Yeah.
Oh, I took McDuff. Okay.
Yeah. We're flying through these things, It's draft
You're
week.
out of control right now. I don't know what's
Mayhem.
going on. What the hell just happened?
All right. 25th
Another
pick.
trade offer.
We can
That's
move back.
That's an awful pick. That's an awful
Yeah,
trade.
that's all. Yeah.
Agree.
What are you getting? Like 6
No,
draft points
absolutely
out of
not.
that from the chart.
This is yeah. The you know that like calculator where it's like the values of certain picks. I feel like the draft network just needs to defer to that with their value because like
You're really digging at them today. Are you okay? You're really giving it to
I
the draft
really
network.
listen. This is one of those things like again I was trying to run mocks similar to how you're doing, just run mocks and it's just like some of the valuations are
It couldn't be similar to
interesting.
how I was doing it because apparently if you was doing it similar, you wouldn't, it wouldn't have been a blowout.
Yeah,
So
I should have just I should have just went with it. Yeah, both these are. I mean, an extra fourth is
All right.
nice, but
Nah, I'm not. I want. Yeah,
Okay.
forget that. All right, so who's on the board? That's a big question.
Kenny Pickett,
Kenny Pickett,
Daxton
Devin
Hill.
Lloyd, Traylon Burks, Andrew Booth. Ooh, Daxton Hill. Is Liam frozen? Or is he
William
not
Moffe.
blinking?
I know. I was for a bit. I think my internet went a bit weird.
You
They're
still
still
are, but
frozen.
that's okay. It's
It's
not
like,
a bad
if
look.
If it was me and it was an option, I'd try and move back like 3 or 4 spots and then just look at like a Lewis sign or something like that. But then the fact that Andrew Booth exists at that point is like, I don't know what's happened there. That's weird.
That's a golden ticket that you have to take. I don't know
what's
you got to
you
go
get
for
Williams
Booth.
and Andrew Booth in the first round with 2. I mean, and you've traded back as well. Like that's
pretty big.
It's a bit saucy.
So, in the chat, guys, are we going Andrew Booth or are we trading back again? I'm taking the first 2 people who say it. Might be a little delayed, but here's what it is. Ben said linebacker still available. Who's available in linebacker right now?
Nakobe Dean,
Devin Lloyd,
Lloyd.
Nakobe Dean.
Quite a lot.
It's weird because, like I said, like you get a Channing Tindall in like the 3rd or 4th round. I feel like, and he's still significant. Oh, we got 3 booths. So take Andrew, the
Perfect.
boy from Clemson.
I would like. All right, I'm gonna do that, but I'm gonna pause because I think that moving up in the second is a real possibility. I know that
absolutely.
Brian, I think pretty much every single mock draft we had in the mock draft competition had us back up at the top of the second because there's some real value there.
There's just a
So we could
Jaquan
make an
Brisker
offer
there. That's
here.
all it is. It's just Mr. Penn State.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
the only value there.
there's three pretty talented safeties available. I think some of them are probably going to go right here. But should I offer something to the Lions?
Linderbaum is still on the board. Is he ranked 31?
Yeah.
I feel like an old man just digging into my camera like this.
I know. I was going to look at
I can't make it any bigger, guys. I'm sorry.
I wish I could full screen this thing, but I can't. Wait, what the hell just happened? Did I click on something else?
I full screened it.
Oh, there we go. Look at that. Oh, damn.
Boom.
But you don't gotta show our faces. I mean, I think they know our voices by now. There we go. This is my voice, no face.
Okay, so New York Jets. See if we can get a second and a third. That's not a bad idea. You want the 35th or the 38th?
Let's go 38th. I feel like 35th is a little too much of a false fantasy. I think 38 is more attainable than 35.
I think we're gonna lose that on the safeties if we go to 38.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm
overruling to 35.
We have a second.
So 51. Offer a fourth.
We have 2 seconds, so we can use our second. And then we could use one of our 2 fourths. And that should be enough.
Use the 124. There it is, right there.
Can you use a fifth? Will they do a fifth?
They'll do a fifth. We don't have to use our best fifth. Okay, there we go.
Just
second and a fifth. You should move up.
They do a 7?
What they do with J Jaw?
It's tough trying to be realistic because sometimes there's why not? All right, congratulations.
I mean, Jets,
Yeah, that's fair.
Woo.
All right.
So
now I've had a couple times where I make a trade and it voids my next pick. Okay, so we can move back.
That's not.
I think the whole
reason
reason
why third out as well. I mean,
It's not terrible.
Pretty good.
Yeah, but we just traded away to move up.
Sorry, I haven't. Yeah, my bad.
I mean, we could do it.
That's pretty enticing.
Okay, so now I feel like it's a matter of which safety you want to take. David Ojabo would also be good value here. I feel like that
you take a job over safety, right? It's weird to say that, but even Perrion Winfrey, hell, Nakobe Dean in the second round as well.
I mean, let's not forget as well, Tyrann Mathieu still exists, and Marcus Epps is basically Tyrann Mathieu because I said so. So I reckon David Ojabo.
All right, so we're not going to safety apparently.
Well, I did an article. I was like, is there much of a drop off between Honey Badger and Marcus Epps? And I was like, in terms of like what
do an article that way
need from him, like you can make a case, and the fact you can even make one probably says a lot because they want to play a premium. So like, I can if I don't get Honey Badger, like I mean, look at last year, like they waited so long before eventually bringing in Steven Nelson. I can see Honey Badger being the same. Like you can. I'd say a Jabo would be the more vital player right now because
I think so. Even if he's not ready for next season, like you rock with that. That's a first round potential.
If BG goes, I'm not rolling a Josh Sweat, Derek Barnett 1-2 again. I can't handle it. So we need someone.
Yeah,
I do think realistically, David Ojabo is not going to be at the top of the second. I think that a lot of people are concerned. But I do think that you're right. We need an edge rusher. I see, and someone we haven't talked about, Brian mentioned is Perrion Winfrey. I think he'd be a great addition. He was in my mock at 29 even. So just throwing it out there. But I think that the interior defensive line is a bigger need than people think. Liam talked about it. Fletch might be gone. Hargrave might not be here for long. And they know how to coach them up. So I'll go with you guys. We can go David Ojabo, but
is Ojabo missing next season? Is he not coming back to 2023? Or is it okay?
I mean, there's no game. I mean, he might. It's probably unlikely. Like what? Like Brandon Brooks came back in 8 months, 6 months, between 6 and 8. So Ajabo Torres, is it ACL? Something.
I completely forgot his injury.
Anyways, he's gone till playoffs almost.
I'll tell you right now. Oh yeah, it's Achilles. Oh yeah, hell yeah. We'll see him 2023.
Yeah.
We could pivot then. We could pivot to Winfrey. I mean, if we had the consensus earlier that IDL was the underrated play, and we do the Howie boring draft, I mean
that makes sense,
well so far.
You can't see the smile on my face right now, Liam, but I'm grinning from ear to ear. All right. So I think also Nakobe Dean is, another option.
It just makes sense that if Nakobe Dean and if Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker are available in the second round, and the Eagles know they need a linebacker for Ganon's defense. We know Hassan Reddick's not going to be playing so much, pass coverage. We know Kaiser White's a little silverall. Like, do you not go with Nakobe Dean? Like, do you really walk away from the table saying, "Yeah, I'm happy we're not drafting Nakobe Dean"?
I think that's a fair point, but I do also know that there's value in later rounds for linebacker. You had a linebacker going late.
But you got two people in the chat that said Dean.
Okay, well we can go with the chat, but I think
the chat is always right. That's the one thing we have to go with.
All right, we'll go with Dean.
Nakobe Dean is not my love.
All right, so we can trade.
No more trades. Let's get to the third round, bro. Let's just get to the third round already.
We don't even get to draft in the fifth. We might as well do it.
We're not drafting to the fifth round, though.
That's what I mean. I was gonna say it doesn't matter. All right. Bro. Okay, I'm not taking any trades. I'm not allowed to take any trades anymore. We're done with trades. All right.
Yeah, fast forward to the third.
Everyone's trying to trade. I don't know if you guys can hear the bell, but I just hear the bell and I know it's coming, and then it pops up on my screen. So I'm just declining all trades. We're gonna see if we can get it 51.
Oh, we're still drafting.
Devon Brisker is still on the board. I feel like that's an immediate trade up.
Oh, he's not on the board. There it is. Vikings got him. But do you know who's on the board? You know who's on the board? Christian freaking Watson. You declined that trade.
You got a wide receiver though. We've got.
Oh yeah, I forgot what James. We got James Williams.
Yeah. However, we passed on the interior defensive lineman earlier, and now we have Travis Jones sitting here. Could be an option. You could address your interior line, offensive line. See, and this is the one thing is I do feel like this is
you can't regret the last pick. Leave it alone. The chat spoke.
Yeah, but they might reach for someone like a Logan Hall, for example.
You Logan Hall.
If
you're just trying to justify your mock.
Well, they haven't addressed the edge position yet, right? And you look into again. This is just the draft network's predictive board.
Kobe Dean is not injured. What is Doug talking about? He said you do realize we picked 2 injured players with our first 2 picks. Kobe's not injured, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, but Williams is.
Yeah. Somebody said get wild in draft hall, and somebody said Logan Hall's there. So go ahead, get your boy before Liam falls asleep on the podcast.
No, he's frozen. He's frozen.
I'm just verging on delirium more.
Yeah, he's been frozen, Brian. You thought Liam hasn't moved in the last while.
Oh really? No, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's a funny picture because if you put the perfect punk rock song in the background, it just fits.
Yeah. I have to screenshot it and I'll put it as my Twitter picture. And
You're moving now. You're moving now again, but.
Alontae Taylor. I like Alontae Taylor.
Did you pause the draft? Oh, okay. Cole Strange right there.
It's just nothing's running quickly.
Nothing's running Isaiah quickly. Oh, he's likely. Damn it, wrong player. Fuck's sake. I know
Right.
what I meant. I know who I meant.
We have a trade offer.
Oh, hell
We can
yeah.
move up in the third. We're taking that or not?
Yeah. I don't see why we wouldn't.
For a fifth, I can counteroffer.
What do you mean we can counter over? You take that. You going to throw a seventh in it?
No, but I can send the
Oh.
other fifth.
I would say do the seventh.
And they wouldn't take the seventh.
That's
Look
so
at me
shit
being
house.
sneaky. Yeah, it is a bit. That's okay. All right.
Right.
So
Give me. Here we go.
took a wide receiver, took a linebacker. Haven't addressed yet. Well, we did. We took an edge.
We took a cornerback as well.
Took a cornerback.
We could take a running back here.
Yeah, well, okay, but okay. So hear me out again. This
Oh,
is
no, my
where I'm
God.
talking about early on in the draft. Like you have all this value in positions we've already taken. So this is why I'm thinking maybe they wait on
Oh,
some.
Cole Strange right there. You take Cole Strange.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, it's a bit
Or,
strange
Good
though.
pick.
Friend of the podcast, Cole Strange.
Ben J said Cole Strange or KW3. I think you go Cole because you could probably get James Cook in the fourth, which we're not doing the fourth round today.
Yeah.
We're not doing the fourth round at all. But you could get James Cook in the fourth round.
All right.
Do you know what I was going to say actually as well? Out of having edited every mock draft in the mock draft mania thing, I'm pretty sure the one player that's been in every single one is James Cook.
Yeah, it is.
Like
It's
every
weird.
single mock draft has had James Cook.
I left him out. That's probably why I lost.
Well, there you go then. Yeah.
That's gotta be it.
There you go. Such a good sport.
Oh,
Yeah,
Cam
I
Taylor
did grab a running back.
I like CTB. He's a little dog. He's underrated. I like him.
Again, but like there's a lot of good value picks late. And Kobe Bryant, so that I know Eagles fans love him. If nothing else for the name, but a long corner that fits in the scheme. Like I don't know. There's so much value that I do feel like they could wait. Brandon Smith would be a great option for them at linebacker, kind of like a hybrid player. But we've addressed all those positions already. So
I really
Cole,
the
I feel
one
like-
player. I'll say it now for anyone that does want to come through the draft stream as well, because there always seems to be that one Liam draft crush that seeps through the cracks. For me, it's Woolen. I think he's such a dog at corner. I mean, I'm a sucker for long corners that are quick, but he's a former wide receiver anyway. Like he moves like one. He's still a bit stiff. I think like he's not the most like fluid athlete. He can be beaten off press as a result. But if you want like a day 2 fringe, day 3 corner that for Gannon to develop, ideal scenario I think is that you bring someone in up top like a Booth or a Gardner or whoever to play CB2 to take over from CB1 when Slay leaves. Then you bring in Woolen to kind of go toe-to-toe with Gowan, and whichever one comes out on top because he's CB2. But I think that's my guy. Like, that's my draft crush that I want this year.
Who is he again?
Sorry?
Eric Woolen.
Who's your draft crush again? I kept on missing the name. Oh, Tyreek Woolen?
Oh, Tyreek Woolen, yeah.
So Ben said that there's a song in the works apparently that we don't know about. Are you working on that?
I've got to find a pun about wool somewhere. Like, Bar Black Sheep, have you any woolen? Maybe that is up there.
It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress.
Exactly. It's late at night. Give me like a day.
Still pretty raw.
There's a name I want to highlight here. This Cordell Volson played really well in the Senior Bowl, East West Shrine. I get them confused, but another guy that. Anyways, getting off topic.
You know who actually played really well in the Senior Bowl and actually was a part of my mock draft in this exact round? Cole Strange.
Yeah, agreed. All right, we're ending it off on a strange note, and that will complete the draft. We have to. I feel like we have to. Shout out the boy. Okay.
I do really like
really quick.
Khalil Sakir as well. I think he's basically like my John Hightower 2.0 shot just because he's from Boise State as well. But I really like him in the mid rounds. I think he's a fun player to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, really interesting. Great ball carrier. Sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. One thing I want to point out, I'm very curious to know because we rarely have these kind of people in the this kind of person in the chat. But tonight we have a gentleman or a gentle lady, Desert Fox, who apparently hates everybody on the coaching staff and everybody in the front office. Like this person has been dogging Howie. This person has been dogging Sirianni, and now dogging is dogging Gannon. I need to know who hurt you. Are you okay?
Hey man.
Hey, I mean, to be fair, the answer is just going to be the Eagles. Like, I mean, if you're a therapist in Philadelphia, like, I guarantee 90% of the things you get is just like, how was your week? And it was like, well, it was fine till Sunday. And then all these other like things come in and they're like, yeah, you need to stop watching the Eagles so much. I think
By the way,
can you imagine?
We haven't discussed the egregious move by the NBA to schedule the Raptors 76ers game in the middle of the NFL draft.
They did it. They did it.
I'm done with basketball
last time. In 2019, they scheduled Game 7 for the Game of Thrones Battle of Winterfell, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you have to understand that Eagles fans are going to be watching what, does everyone have 2 TVs now? Like, this can be so tough.
Listen, it's 2022. Majority of people, they have their tablets, they have their phones. You got your TV in the house, like, you know.
I mean, we know you have a tablet.
Is that supposed to be like a swipe at me? Like, bro, like, I like my tablet. Okay, leave my tablet alone. But listen, guys, it's gonna be a heavy week for PSN. Thursday night, you know, we'll be part of the draft, and we'll be kind of just walking you guys through the draft for however long it takes, through the ups and downs. Last year, you know, I celebrated Devontae Smith pick because people on this specific podcast today told me that he was too frail to compete in the NFL. Some guy from overseas.
Oh yeah, I did say I beat him in a boxing match. I have to own that. Yeah,
he actually said he would beat the match.
Look a bit silly there. I'll hold my hands up. That wasn't my finest moment. But another NFL draft stream, you know, pioneering moment, right? So if we think we've had John Hightower, we've had Liam calling out Devonta Smith for a boxing match, but I mean, I've been going to the gym recently, right? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, guys. Right, this is a true story. I won my first ever arm wrestle against a male my own age this past Sunday. So make it out what you will.
I can coming of age story.
I can still take it. Huh?
That's amazing. That's like a coming of age. You know, that's like, yeah, I love that. That's great.
So I'm very happy. If we've had 2 years of that level of iconic moment, imagine what comes this weekend, guys. So yeah, I hope I see you all there because it is going to be a chaotic time. Best thing to do, just have NFL Network on one screen, your boys on the other. Get a load of beer if you're into drinking. Get some wings if you're into food, whatever it may be. Just have a great weekend and enjoy the draft because it's an amazing time of year. Everyone's emotional for one reason or another, be it good or bad. And we get to share in that experience as a group, and it's a hell of a ride if you haven't been on one. And just a shout to Duck as well, who's going for like year number 3. I don't think he's actually missed. Although I hope he does after that comment. I saw that flash up there for 2 seconds, Brian. So.
That wasn't me. That was Morgan.
I can control things now too, which is nice.
Morgan has been promoted to controller.
Yeah. So yeah, Dominic, we didn't get your question, but tune in this weekend, man. We'll be talking about all that best case, worst case scenarios for pick 15. There'll be so much content. We don't want to give away, too much of our analysis. It's, we're saving it for the weekend.
Yeah, we don't put it behind a paywall. We just let you tune into our draft instead. So that's that.
Yeah, exactly. But all those questions and more will be answered. Yeah, I mean, Liam said it best, but we're all really looking forward to it. And Liam, thanks for coming on, man.
Anytime.
It's been nice.
I miss you guys.
Don't you tell me anytime. It takes another 4 years to get you back.
I mean, to be fair, so the low key. I mean, I'm not sure how many people actually know this. So I suppose we've got some time at the end now. We've hit the end, so I can feel the dead air. But so last year, when I started seeing my girlfriend, so we both lived at our parents' houses. It was mid-pandemic, so we couldn't really stay at each other's. So we literally used to stay in the office for a while, which made podcast appearances very difficult if she's literally 2 feet away from me while I'm, shouting about boxing Devonta Smith, for instance. So a lot of that had to be rerouted essentially. But now, I know Duck asked a question earlier, which I'm sure we'll get into during the stream. But yeah, now I'm at my own place, which is nice. So I've actually got an actual area now to relax and, you know, live. And it's not in my old like shoebox bedroom. She's asleep in another room, and I can come and cause chaos again. So essentially, a lot more LJ stuff is on the way. Now everything's actually settled, which is the good news. And if my office landlord is listening to this, no, she never stayed there, and it never happened, then I don't want to talk about that. No comments.
Plead the fifth.
Oh God. Well, as you guys can see, it's been a very chaotic weekend. I'm looking forward to myself. I'm glad to be back with the guys. But yeah, until you're getting a lot of shout outs, Liam. I mean,
Oh no, I love.
I like this one, Mr. Olympia. I feel like that just works.
3 gym sessions, and we're like, you know, we're thriving. Don't you worry.
And he has a Supreme shirt on. So
I know. I wish I could say I bought it. My little brother does way better than me, and he treated me at Christmas. So
hey,
like
it's still
all my
yours, right?
clothes
That's all
he
that
buys
matters.
me at Christmas and birthdays, and I walk around looking like half decent, and it's just because he treats me. So.
So again, we should be ending this podcast, but so Ben actually brings up a great point. Throw back to when we had Liam heartbreak joke.
I know.
That's not a thing no more. Like that can't happen.
You still can. She just can't be in the vicinity, so I get slapped. Like it's like something like I can still, you know, hark back. Like everyone's got their Sam Bradfords, right, and their John Hightowers in their lives that we can talk about. But I do feel like a large chunk of my podcast when that was running was the fact that it was just like therapy to me at that point. Like it was literally just like if I can make analogies that somehow relate to my life and you know how awful that section of it was, then it's fun for everyone to listen to. So now it's actually stable. It's hard to like make those like analogies.
This is why Taylor Swift doesn't make music anymore. You know.
Yeah,
it's just
Adele
hard.
pops out.
She's happy.
Adele comes out once every like 5 years. It just goes like, you know.
Which Adele needs to come out with something because Rich Paul is terrible for the freaking NBA.
I know.
Like she should be singing about that. Like somebody needs to talk about that. Rich Paul is a very terrible little man.
He's coming. Give it 3 years.
Yeah, that would be quite the Adele song. Singing about Rich Paul. I would love that. That would be my immediate favorite song of all time.
If she name drops LeBron, I'm going streaking. That's it. That's phenomenal. Like, how do you do that? Like, you're
Brian, I like that you just dropped that. Like, you know, that's I would just like, if we're going for you know cheeseburgers tonight, I'm going streaking. You know, just drop it. No one asked.
You don't do that for cheeseburgers. Nobody does that for cheeseburgers. No, it's not for cheeseburgers. You do that for like like a throwback, Randall Cunningham jersey that I still haven't gotten confirmation on. But yeah, you do that for those kind of things.
Oh, tough. Did you make it?
Talking of giveaways,
did you make it?
I will get some giveaways in. I think I've been given the green light to get some giveaways sorted for the weekend. So, yes, that will be happening as well. And just really quickly before we end it, just a big thank you to all of you for, again, sticking by myself and making sure you give Flipping the Birds all the love over the past couple of years. Like, the guests they've had on over the past few years has been ridiculous. And I know I'm biased because it's PSN and obviously, I founded PSN, but it's literally the only podcast that I listen to from an Eagles perspective now. Just because, I'm not here to slag anyone off or anything, but you can see that the podcasts that look for hype and for quotables for pictures because it's going to get them traction. And then there are podcasts that I think are really good. The one that I do miss BGN Radio. I miss Kiss and Solar. I love those two to death. I'm glad they're doing what they do. I think Flipping the Birds fills a nice niche of just great banter, fantastic analysis, and better people. And I think just knowing we get to have this on PSN, it's a privilege, and have such a wholesome community that listens to it week in and week out is even better because, again, we're nothing without you guys. So just thank you for giving us all the endless support, and we'll hopefully give you a draft weekend stream to remember.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, man.
Let's get it rocking.
That's a great summary. We appreciate it. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate Liam. Brian, I don't know if I changed the green in our names. I don't know if you know that. I tried to get close and then I got rushed. And then, anyways, I can show you.
It's okay. Listen, it's like that Usher song. Daddy's home, okay? Daddy's home. That's all you gotta know. All right, guys.
Here, I can change.
I'm Brian Cameron. What the hell are you doing? He's Morgan Burkett alongside Liam Jenkins. We're Flipping the Birds.
Go Birds.
Yes, sir.